Good morning, folks. It is much earlier than usual. Give me a couple of seconds. I realize that there may not be many people on. Totally okay. We're still here to just chat. Let me just share out the link here. Um, and then we'll get going. Hopefully, everyone is having a wonderful Friday. Where are we? I've had a busier morning than usual. But it's been good. I'm traveling today, just doing some last minute packing, which is not usually how it goes, but just making sure I have all the stuff. Here we are. Someone's in. I know Polly will be here. I don't know if it's Polly or not. Someone's gone. Just kidding. No one's here anymore. Polly is here. Hey, Polly. Good afternoon to you. I don't know if anyone else is coming on, and I don't blame them if they're not, since it's 8 o'clock in the morning, way earlier than usual, way earlier than most. But I'm traveling. I was going to do the YouTube, not YouTube. This is YouTube, the Zoom, so we can all like see each other's face. But I just honestly didn't have the time to get to it this week, and it is what it is. Maybe next time. Still morning for you? Yeah. You're a night owl. You're a night owl from what I've gathered. Which is nothing wrong with that. All right. Episode 6 through 9. And I think this is as far as I've made it. Cuz like I've rewatched all these episodes to take more notes, but I don't think I've watched episode 10 yet. So I think this is as far as I've gotten. Yeah, I have not seen episode 10, Shadowed Past. Not at all. So everything from here on out will always be new. Not that it's not. But Polly, have you been rewatching these as well, or are you just like that good with remembering what happens? Where's my notes? All right. Episode 6, middle verse. This was an interesting episode. Obviously we got our introduction. Oh, nice, Polly. Okay, so you necessarily haven't been rewatching them, but just refreshing. That makes sense. But episode 6, middle verse, we get Forge. We get a look at young Forge from the 70s. This was an interesting episode for the most part. But like obviously I think we see I didn't take the most detailed notes on this one. But we see Kurt kind of getting on Cyclops' nerves. This almost reminded me of like Cyclops from X-Men 97. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Before we get to Forge. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm getting at. This made me think of Scott from X-Men 97 and how he at the beginning was just like obviously upset with losing the professor, but just like being exactly like you said, a stick in the mud and just like not having a good time, like always having to be the um having to be like the leader and in charge and just taking everything so seriously. But yeah, Freddie, nice of you to join. I will get us on Zoom, by the way. I just did not have enough time to like figure it out this week. And just like everything's been mounting. I've been like, I'm traveling this weekend and just trying to get ahead on work. Because I can't, but this would be way better to see everyone else's faces. And so we can like have a live talk, which we will get to. We will get there. I will make it happen. I'll figure it out. But yes, Scott was definitely being a stick in the mud. I love that description because that's exactly what it was. And Freddie, I saw your comment. Yes, young Forge looked like he was on that 70 show. He surely did. Kind of like Fez. but not Fez. um, but yeah. But yeah, Scott obviously was being a stick in the mud, just not able to have fun. Obviously, Kurt being Kurt, kind of just a fun, jolly little man to be around. Fun, jolly little blue elf. Oh, did he? Because I was gonna say, Polly, because in all of these episodes, I didn't really pick up any Easter eggs. Um, so if you recall any, I don't think that I picked any up. Not like from the first few episodes that I kind of picked out that I knew a little bit of. That's very true. What kind of image inducer works fine, but occasionally reveals the tail? Yeah, that is a good question. However, maybe it was just like a sign of um it going on the fritz, because on in da, 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 in episode 8 is when it goes bad and he has to leave school when Spike has to do his video extra credit, which was an interesting one heck of an episode. That one was one heck of an episode. But yeah, the rest of this episode was interesting. The more that I've seen some of these episodes, and obviously the last one is more fresh in my mind, episode 9, but like I just love Toad is just so funny. Whoever voices him, I don't know, but his accent is so good. I love his like straight up New York accent. And I love when he gets the device, Forge's device that like transports Kurt to the Middleverse. And oh man, when he like starts like he's so pissed off at Mystique, he's like, oh, I'm gonna get back at you. Takes all the stuff out of her office, takes her car. And then when she walks back into her office, she's just like, what happened to all my stuff? That was actually funny. Toad was actually funny. But other than that, it was Noel Fisher. I don't know. I'm sure he's done other things, and I may know what he's from, but that name does not ring a bell. I'm not very good with voice actors' names, unless they're like a regular actor that we see. Toad has his own theme song? I did not know that. Oh man, I'm gonna have to listen to this. The other thing that was I'll tell you what, Kurt, this is the other thing that I remember right now from like Kurt being stuck in the Middleverse. Kurt is definitely a teenage boy. When he's like stuck in the Middleverse and he's with Forge at one point, and then those girls walk by that are in the actual, I think, universe, and he's like, how far does this Middleverse extend? And Forge is like, just short of the girls' locker room. It's a shame, right? I'm like, Kurt, come on, man. You are definitely a teenage boy, Kurt. That is for sure. Forge is proving worthy of his creepy mustache. He is. But he doesn't have it yet. I want to know too, like, what Forge is brought back into reality, and he's just going to go back to his house. How does he think that's going to go? That's my question. Like, one, he still thinks his parents are there. Two, or like, what just happens if they're not there? But clearly, people are going to be a little freaked out having him return back. Right, Polly? Why does he even think his family still lives there? I don't know. I feel the same way. Like, Why does he even think his family's still there? And does he not think that people are gonna be freaked out that literally a boy who's been missing for like 30, 20-ish, 20, 30-ish years are not gonna be freaked out that he's now just back all of a sudden? Um, but yeah, it's I wanted to see his reunion with his family. Yeah. He is lucky he returned before smartphones. Isn't it wild to think that like this is still I don't know. I sometimes think about that, like life before smartphone, like even just right before. Like we didn't like things were so different. It's like so weird. That day before iPhone was revealed. Yeah. I remember I had a friend who got the iPhone right away, like when it came out, the first one. And I was like, this is the dumbest, like, why do you need all this stuff on your phone? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And obviously, it makes a ton of sense now. That was the other thing I was going to bring up, Freddie, right? Because I didn't think that that was a thing. Like, he literally just turns his hand into a hand tool, right? Which I didn't know. I didn't think it was from the comics, but I didn't know if it was in the comics at some point or was. Um, but like he just whipped his hand out and just turns it into that or not, as you know, as he pleases for the most part. But yeah. So apparently that's not in the comics, which is good to know. Although he does have some interesting, very similar stuff to when I was reading through X Force, and he gave something to Domino, or it was on him. I can't remember now at this point. Like it was just like whatever you think, whatever you want to turn your arm into, it just happens. Just think about it, and you got it. Like man, talk about one heck of an invention. All right. I didn't really have many other notes on that one. It was Garcotech, which means whatever the hell the writer wanted. Yeah, pretty much. It does give us the beginning of Rogue's redemption arc. That is very true. Which we can go right into the next episode, which is episode 7, Turn of the Rogue, which starts with an interesting training session at the X Mansion. One, why were Storm and Wolverine brought down so easily by Kitty Pryde and Spike? They were literally like, let me just tap you on the shoulder and let me spray this little hairspray can at you, and you're asleep. Like, what? What happened there? And I don't know if they were just like going along with it. But then we have Cyclops and Kurt rappelling down, and they think that they're rescuing Storm. And it happens to be Rogue, a fake Rogue. I've not sprayed hairspray in my face, Polly. No, but I can understand how that would take you down. But they think they're rescuing Storm, and it happens to be a fake Rogue. But her hands are exposed, and I want to know why. I want to know why they thought it was Storm. Folk. That's so good, Freddy. Folk. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just want to know why they thought it was Storm. Like her hands were exposed. And I'm like, I get it if it's like they're trying to let the viewer know that it's not Storm, but it might have been dark where they were. And I'm like, You can see your hands, can't you? And they're not. They're white. They're white hands. The last time I checked, Storm doesn't have white hands. Um, so I'm like, all right. Either way. Um, yeah, it's just I'm like, what is happening? The other part is like if Kitty, they were acting together as a team. If Kitty saw, oh, does she have white gloves in this show? I haven't seen them, or I just haven't noticed. That's also true. That may not be what I'm thinking about. My other thought was too is like if they were acting together as a team, wouldn't if Kitty had just told them that she took down Storm, they would have also known. Anyway, I'm getting too deep into the weeds. Obviously, this is what happens when you're like analyzing each episode piece by piece. Obviously Scott's upset because, well, he got beat. And also, he kind of seems like he has some feelings for Rogue a little bit, right? We see that in this episode where he starts to when they, are looking back at each other as they're like preparing for all of the for their trip, their geology trip and whatnot. But you also see this budding romance between Jean and Scott as they're also prepping for the school trip. And as they're doing that, I love I love Rogue's training session in the dark gym. You might not be wrong, Polly. Just compassion because it's Scott. Yes. But I love Rogue's training session in the dark gym. Just going around, air punching, air kicking. All the things. And then as she was like hitting the punching bag when Mystique was there and talking to her, as I'm like watching, the artist and the animator did not do a good job of. It's okay, it's not bad, but as I'm like watching, like her legs are like collapsing underneath her, I just thought it was funny. And then we get some insight too. Again, we're getting some more Magneto. Magneto is right more often than not. Of like we see Charles lying to his team. So we learn that Charles knows who the principal of the school is, and that it's Mystique, and that Magneto's obviously like how can you be lying to your team, right? Anyway, there's another thing. Yep, Charles and his BS in the last episode, in one of the last lines, and we'll touch on it in a bit, of Charles and his BS again. Freddie really wants to see these shoes, Polly. Freddie really wants to see these shoes. But this school trip, right? One, what high school just has access to 4 or 5 snowmobiles? My school did not. Let alone would be more than willing to let teenagers drive these snowmobiles while they're on a school trip. And again, we go back to like the last time when we were chatting about the first few episodes of like, as I'm watching these shows as I'm a kid, I'm always like, how do these characters learn all of these skills? They're like going through, they're now racing snowmobiles. I've never even been on a snowmobile at this point. And I'm like, not only are they on snowmobiles, but they are like racing and like going off of cliffs and jumping with them. And I'm like, where do all of these Where did these kids get these skills from? Because I am not that skilled. Yeah. It's such a wild high school trip, right? A snowmobile, spelunking, geology high school field trip. That makes 0 sense. And Bali, you are exactly right. That school trip was so poorly supervised, beyond poorly supervised. But we just went to the same museum every year. Exactly. We would every grade like had their set field trip that we were in, went to the same place every time. And that was the thing you look forward to. It's like this year we're going to the aquarium. This year we're going to this museum. We did not go on a spelunking snowmobiling trip. That did not happen. The other thing, the Coca-Cola factory for some reason. Interesting. The other thing that was I might have missed this, but I don't think I did. So they all agreed that they were going to go to the cave that they were snowmobiling to. How did anyone know where this cave was? Right, Freddie? The fact that they didn't cancel the trip when the blizzard came. Like, why didn't he just turn the bus around? Why didn't the teacher just turn the bus around? That made 0 sense. Polly, these kids have survived recess. They'll be fine. My question though is like, how'd they know where the cave was? They're like, there's a cave. We're gonna go there. How did they know where the cave was? Because they didn't have smartphones. They didn't have the GPS going. Anyway. Maps. Yes. Maps. Although I don't know if I saw one. Someone else come in? The Bayville High teachers put them in more danger than Xavier. Yes. They sure did. Oh my gosh. Obviously, then Scott also a little bit later, Scott learns that the principal is Mystique. And then again, this is where Rogue kind of we see her redemption arc keep growing here. And one thing that was so funny was like at one point, Rogue finally saves Scott and she's with him. And she goes, "Oh, Scott, you're going to be okay. You're going to be." And then she turns around and it was either Mystique was the wolf or something. And she goes, "Oh, man, we're going to die." I just started laughing. I thought it was she was like so confident that Scott was going to be okay. And then she was like, "Oh, we're going to die." Mystique was going for murder there. Is this the one where Scott says, "Shut up, Ball"? It might have been. I might have missed that, Freddie. But it might be. It might be that one. And then obviously, Professor X and Storm and Wolverine came to save them. And they all get saved, including Scott and Rogue, which were on like this rock formed bridge in between two other big rock formations. And they get onto the jet just in time before it collapses. It was a really good episode. Paul was Scott's human bestie. Flat scan BFF. Mystique revealing herself to Rogue. It was very dramatic. And then, because Rogue got to get some of her powers, I believe, right? Like she absorbed Mystique's powers and her memories, and so she kind of went back a little bit and obviously learned all that stuff. I wonder if it didn't seem like it, but it didn't seem like she learned that she was her mom. Yeah, not yet. Okay. It really is, Polly. It's the soap opera. That's the soap opera that draws us in. It's right there. The other thing, you would have to go back and watch it, but at the end, when Wolverine basically um gave Rogue an option of being on the X-Men or not, and she says that she's going to join, and then Wolverine says, "Welcome to the X-Men." It goes to Professor X and his face is just like, I guess we're inviting her. I guess we're inviting her onto the team, even though I'm the one calling the shots here, and apparently Wolverine just called the shot. But I'll just go along and agree with it. I just thought it was a hilarious face. Yeah, Mystique turned into that wolf and was like legitimately ready to kill. And then at the end, I have a note here. Now I don't really know what it's for, but it basically was the lesson of honesty is very important between the people you care about. And I don't know why I wrote that down. I thought that was an interesting scene, Freddie. Um, we t- um, we talked about again like Magneto, well, Charles and his BS basically, but I didn't know even with all the times that Magneto has Mo, what's going on? Nice of you to join us so early. My apologies. My apologies for having this be so early. Um, I always thought it's been interesting. Like even when he's revealed himself when he's with Mystique, that he's like kind of like a holographic image, right? He's not actually there. So I've always been wondering like how he's been doing this. And he just doesn't because I didn't know that he could like be a holographic image and like portray himself somewhere else. Glad you can make it, Mo. Sorry you had a late night at work. Totally okay that you just woke up if that's what it's been. We're talking about episode 7, and maybe I like the scene where he basically just like came in because he used his powers. Okay, that makes sense. It was cool to see, but not actually ever seeing him, right? Right? Yeah, just creepily outside the window, like not ever really seeing Magneto, but just like, um, you know. The other thing I thought of, because this was funny, because this made me think of this. Professor X was just like sitting there, and I only say this. I say this because I know, because my dad's in a wheelchair. When Magneto blew Professor X like away, and he like tried to stop himself. He tried to stop his wheels from spinning with his hands. I'm like, your hands are eaten through right now. There's no way your hands are feeling good whatsoever, Charles. There's no way your hands feel good at this very moment. Your hands are eaten apart. And that was pretty much the entire episode. Definitely a wild, wild high school trip. That again, this high school is just doesn't make sense sometimes. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, by the way. Yeah, exactly, Freddie. That might have been why I wrote down that note, because I have that note. Talk about the lesson. Honesty is very important between people you care about. And then he still just decides to keep secrets. Right? The other thing I wanted to mention about the school, and I think this is from the Middleverse episode, and then we saw it again. There was another professor. I think I wrote it down somewhere. No, yeah. No, Spike's it's the next episode with Spike. And maybe it was the same teacher, and I don't remember. But why does every teacher, almost every teacher in the school, why are they from the UK? They all have a British accent, except for this guy from the geology trip. Anyway, episode 8. This was a good episode. Spike Cam. I just thought it was ridiculous. Obviously, we get Sabretooth is back. He's like getting a bird's eye view of what's going on around town. Spike didn't write the right report about the Star Wars program and decided to write about Star Wars the movie, which is fair. But he gets to make it up by doing extra credit. Oh my gosh. Spike, yes. He gets to make it up by doing extra credit by making a video of things that are important to him. That was the assignment given to him by the professor. And of course, Spike is just having fun with the camera. The first part that I love was that he goes to like the second floor of the school, looks out a window, and like zooms all the way in. That Polly, right? What school gives you a free camera? Just like, here, use this, make a video. He zooms all the way into the institute. He even zooms so close that Wolverine's pulling in to the gates of the mansion. He looks back and we can see Wolverine's face so clearly. And he's talking about like how it has this greatest zoom. I was like, there is no camera that a high school owned that they would have given to a teenage boy that had that good of a zoom on it. There's no, the cameras today don't have that good of a zoom on it. And I'm like, this is not how cameras are, X-Men. This is not how they were. And then we see him basically just creeping on everyone, essentially, this entire episode. Evan is just creeping on everyone. He's creeping on Rogue and Kitty as they're like complaining about the school play. After yeah, he would need a hell of a lens for sure. But like Rogue and Kitty are flirting over this boy, and Kitty is just like super cheesy teenage girl, kind of like kind of like I don't know what to call her. She's kind of like the ditzy like cute girl. The show was very 2000s, but they had future tech when they wanted to. Exactly. In high schools. Yes, Polly. Super zoom for space too. Yes, that's exactly what we need. She totally gives Clueless vibes. The Valley Girl. Exactly. That is it. And it's just like so cheesy when she's flirting with that boy. And then we get, I don't know where it was right away, but at some point we get another zoom in on Sabretooth where he gets his chance of trying to like get at Evan. And it zooms in on his mouth of him just like licking his lips and his teeth. And it just stays there for like 2 seconds too long. And I'm like, again, with these zoom ins on the mouth, like we don't need to be zoomed in that much for that long on Sabretooth licking his lips. We don't need that. It was just one too long. So then it's the next day, right? And this was my next thought. Right. What the hell is Evan even shooting? Yeah. And Sabretooth was creepier than Evan. Yeah. Kitty being ditzy. That's exactly what's going on, Mo. Exactly. Why is he following teens and licking his chops? I want to see the script. Well, it doesn't get any better, right? Because like Evan the next morning wakes up with an alarm clock, which my first thought was like, remember those? Like a separate alarm clock, right? I was just literally talking to my wife the other day. I was like, remember when we had alarm clocks and how like that's not a thing anymore? We all just use our phones. Anyway, Auntie Roro comes in and is like, hey, before you film anything else, I think it's best that you don't film our lives at the mansion or whatever you do film. We want to make sure that we're going to look at it before you give it and turn it in, which makes a ton of sense, right? They don't want to reveal all these things. Polly, you still use a separate alarm clock? Yeah. Oh, you use separate alarms. Yeah. That's so true, though. Hey, if that's what it takes to get you up, that's fine. As soon as he has this talk, with Auntie Roro, what does he do? He goes and films Gene getting ready in the bathroom. What is wrong with this kid? What is wrong? What is wrong with this kid? And then right after that, after Gene like finds him spying on her, he goes outside and then literally records Wolverine and Cyclops training. Did you just not have a conversation with your aunt about this? Of not doing it? Totally, Polly, right? Like, how did he not get punched by Gene? Like, that was just too much. She did slam the door in his face. Freddie is right. She did do that. But I'm like, Evan, you literally just had a conversation with your aunt about this. And what are you doing? You're literally doing what she said to not do. Oh my gosh. And then obviously all of this leads Sabretooth to the mansion and trying to get back at Wolverine. And everyone's like, oh, we don't want this to happen. Finally, they scare Sabretooth off. And then Evan has a plan that they go back out. And we obviously get that famous scene. He wants to be an adult filmmaker one day. Freddie, that is not wrong. Maybe that's why he's not in the comics. They saw his future and they were like, we can't have this kid in there. This is not good. It's good to have goals. You're not wrong, Polly. Maybe that's your comic. That's your line. That's your line. That's your through line, Freddie. That's your through line for bringing Spike into the comics. I feel like you can work Deadpool into that somehow. Um, obviously, Evan has a plan. We get our famous, again, though, talking about adult filmmaker. He's like, when he has Kitty and Rogue do their dancing scene to like prep for Dracula, which by the way, back to your comment, Freddie, I'm pretty sure you are correct. Like that is an actual like musical play. I'm pretty sure you're correct. But he's like, Rogue, take off your gloves and touch Kitty. And they're like, what? No. Like just enough to get enough of Kitty's dancing skills so that you can loosen up a little. I'm like, and then he's filming them and he has the audacity. He's like, oh, yeah, ladies, you're killing it. Keep going. And I'm like, what is happening? Who is writing these episodes right now? This is going too far in the wrong direction. There's Mo. There's Mo. Mo is just taking it all in without actually seeing the episodes, which is fine. But he's like, "What is happening? What is happening?" That is exactly what happened, Mo. For the most part, that's exactly how it went down. He goes, "Rogue, take your gloves off and touch Kitty." And then as he's filming them dancing, again, probably just like a little too long, right? Where it's like we got the idea of it, but he's like, "Oh yeah, ladies." I'm just like, "What is happening? This is this is too much." The show was crazy. Some cruel intention shit. Yes. But you are right. I've seen the Buffy like clip of that and how they pretty much did it. And I thought that that made sense, right? Like they pull in Dracula as the play. Again, they're just like drawing inspiration from Buffy, which makes the most sense. But I was just like, what is happening right now? The other part that I thought was hilarious was Rogue. Rogue obviously ended up absorbing Sabretooth's powers. And she gets all she turns into him, right? She gets all hairy. She's like, I just shaved my legs yesterday. And her voice was so good. Like it got lower, but not so low that it was like Sabretooth. It was just like, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was so funny. Her voice was so good. Saber Rogue, yeah. Fogue and Saber Rogue. We've got a Fogue and a Saber Rogue so far. But she did obviously they wore off just in time for the play. Rogaine. There it is, Freddie. There it is. Rogaine. That's the winner right there. Although Fogue was pretty you missed Freddie's Fogue. Fogue was in the episode before they were doing like a training session and Professor X had a fake rogue. Um and Freddie called her Fogue. It was good. It was good. The other thing was at the end, again, this is just like me being nitpicky, I guess. Evan shows his film. Rogaine. Freddie, yeah. Sorry, Freddie. I think I said Mo, that was the winner. My bad. Either way, y'all know who I meant. Freddie with the Rogaine. That was good. That's good, Freddie. At the end, though, when Evan is showing his film, he has Kurt dancing. Kurt dancing on the table, which was from 2 episodes ago from the Middleverse when Scott was being a stick in the mud and he was getting upset at Kurt having too much fun. I want to know how Evan got that film on his extra credit movie when he didn't have a camera yet. How did that happen? He asked him to reenact it exactly how it was the first time, frame for frame, spot for spot. I did see Aurora playing the piano. She does have mad skills. That was good. Scott being a stick in the mud is just Scott being normal. You are not wrong, Mo. That's true, Polly. We didn't hear her play. You're right, Freddie. Jean was sculpting. And again, Evan being super creepy. That's Jean. She's got the smarts and the looks. I was like, Evan. All I know is the writers are writing Kurt and Evan as seriously as teenage boys with raging hormones. They are raging. Polly, for all we know, come on, you got to give Storm more credit than that. For all we know, she was playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, missing half of the notes. Scott lives his life. Scott lives his life like he's corporate stock footage. That is also true. That could work really well. They also have like it's obviously it's the 2000s, but like very much baggy clothes. It's just kind of funny to watch. Although those are in style again. She has to drive Xavier around all day. You're not wrong, Polly. Like when would she have time to learn the piano? All right, episode 9. This was an interesting episode. Survival of the fittest. We get the intro of Mystique breaking Juggernaut out of his high-tech prison cell. And apparently, my daughter says low-rise jeans are cool again, so yay. Yeah. Those are the things I'm not looking forward to, Mo, with my daughter eventually. Just not looking forward to it. Apparently, only the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutant kids are deciding to go to this survival of the fittest with like a Marine Sergeant Hawk in the wilderness. Why is no one else from the school there? Again, just another thing that the school's doing, although not doing. It's just a very interesting call to me sometimes. But everyone's freaking out. Like Kitty doesn't want to do it. She's like, I'm gonna be dead in 2 days. And then Spike is like, I'm a city kid. I'm never gonna survive. And at one point when they're like dispersing, there's a lot of like chatter, but one line stuck out again from me to Spike, and he was like, someone needs to tell Sergeant Hawk that I'm a city kid. I'm just like the other kids do not matter. You're not wrong, Freddie. They don't care. Except for Paul, right? We need Paul. Army training in school. Yeah. I don't know, Polly. I mean, we have a lot of like ROTC programs like preparing kids ish if they like want to go into the armed services. That was like never my jam, but like there were a lot of kids in my high school that did it. Even if they didn't like necessarily want to go into the like to serve, which I always thought was interesting. Like why would you take this class if you don't want to like think that you even want to do that? Anyway. I think I missed his fanny pack, Freddie. I think I might have missed it. But the whole time, so eventually we go back to Mystique breaking Juggernaut out of his high-tech prison. The only thing that I like, Mystique is like, I have a plane waiting, and Juggernaut's like, I don't get transported by anyone. And he just like pretty much just goes through a rampage, just all the way to find Charles eventually, right? Throughout the episode. He's just like taking things down. Nothing can stop him. Obviously, we know that that's what it is, right? But like all of his lines the entire time, all I can ever think about this entire episode was the voiceover. I don't know who did it, but the voiceover that was done a long time ago from the X-Men the animated series when Juggernaut shows up. And it's I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. The whole time. That's all I could think about this entire time. Anytime I saw Juggernaut, I'm like, I need that voice to come through. This is all I can imagine is that voiceover from that episode. But as we go through the episode, obviously there's just like a back and forth between like the Brotherhood kids and then the X-Men. They might have stole that, Polly, from that voiceover. Maybe. Or he stole it and then voiced over. I want to say that voiceover of like I'm the Juggernaut bitch is older than the X3 movie, but I could be wrong. Yeah, Freddie's right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Juggernaut bitch was a viral YouTube meme first. That's what I thought. I was like, there's no way. I didn't think the X3 came out before that. Yeah. If you ever have the time, Polly, you should watch it because it is funny. but this is me speaking from like 15 years ago. So who knows what my sense of humor was like back then. But this just goes back and forth between like the Brotherhood kids and the X-Men, like eventually trying to go get to this flag. Unfortunately, Avalanche, I want to call him Richter. I did see that before I was an X-Men fan. It was just like, right, it was like one of those viral, you didn't even know what was, you didn't even have to know what was going on in the voiceover or from the animated series from that episode to know anything that was happening, because the voiceover just was just too funny. And again, it was just like one of those viral things, right? Like I'm talking, I think this is back in like early college days. So like at least for me, when I saw it was like 2007 ish. So like YouTube is still relatively new. And like when anything was viral, you pretty much watched it because there was nothing else to watch. But yeah, I was not an X-Men fan. I didn't even see the X-Men movies at that time. Like I think at least the first X-Men movie was out, and maybe the second one by then. Did X3 come out before 2007? Last Stand, 2006. That still the I think the meme was older, Polly. Just because I saw it in 2007 doesn't mean that that's when it happened. But yeah, it might have already had, like that video may have already still been viral before X3 came out. You should, all you're gonna have to do, Polly, is type in "I'm the Juggernaut bitch" into YouTube and it should come up. It should definitely come up. I hope it comes up. There it is. No. A lot of them are from the X-Men Last Stand. Anyway. Yes, bizarre training sesh. I don't know. Right, Polly? But eventually the Brotherhood gets caught, right? And because Avalanche decides to like loosen up some rocks, and then they get caught, and the X-Men do what they do, right? They still help out their fellow Brotherhood mutants because they were in danger, which is what they do, right? I mean, it was called survival of the fittest, Polly. So like how much armor and gear did you want them to have? They spent all their money on that camera. They spent all their money on the camera. They had no money left for protective gear. That's what happened. Is that another plot to limit the number of students in that school? It might be. It might be, Polly. Where's my notes? What else happened? Right? Why would you think that, you're not wrong, Freddie. What a dumb idea to cause a rock slide inside a mountain. Yeah. Let me just loosen up some rocks and then see what happens. I love how they got picked up again, right? But I love how Storm, he was trying to get his rocks off. Nice, Freddie. Storm picks them up in the jet and then like almost runs right over Sergeant Hawk. And there's a little picture that comes down, like showing them that they made it to the top of the summit with the flag. They also give him the flag. And the picture falls right down into his hands. And not only that, but I'm like, who had a Polaroid camera just ready to take this picture? And I just love how it just happened to, gently fall down into his hands. And I guess he was happy, like they survived and they worked together and they made it. You're not wrong. Yes. Evan probably did have the camera. Lance should have went on the geology field trip. Oh yeah. So true. um the whole fight scene though with Juggernaut was pretty cool. Like that was another good one. At one point Jean uses her telekinetic powers on Juggernaut, and she obviously struggles and is working hard, but she starts to like moan again because of like how hard it is. She doesn't faint, but I'm like, is this where her fainting started? This is where her fainting and moaning, all she does is just starting right here. This is it. Oh, Polly, I just figured it out. Who had the picture? You're not wrong in that it might have been Evan, but it was Jean's camera that she didn't use ever again from the first episode. That's where it was. Evan probably was in her room, saw it and was like, oh, this is cool. I haven't seen Jean use it, so I'm going to use it. That's what happened. That's my answer, and I'm sticking to it now. No, I know it started, Freddie. I was just kidding in terms of like her being younger now and fainting and moaning. Yeah. But that is literally, I've said it before and I'll say it again. That fainting and moaning in that animated series, like as I'm just watching out loud without any headphones, I'm sure there were times when my wife was like, what is he watching right now? Because it doesn't sound like they just had way too much moaning back and forth. But at the end, so to go back earlier, we talked about like Charles and his BS. At the end, when they finally stop Juggernaut, they put him back into his cell. Wolverine hits Charles with the line of, you can't control the will of others, Charles. They do what they want. And Charles with the line goes, and we do what we have to do. And Wolverine just goes, yeah. Polly, she might be trying to get a part in one of Evan's movies. Freddie, this is it, man. We have a whole plot line for your comic to get Spike into the comics. Like it's there. It is there. You just need to write it now. But again, Charles with his BS, man. Charles with his BS. And he's like, yeah, well, we'll just do what we have to do. Wolverine with that like exasperated sigh at the end of just being like, yeah, I guess you're right, Charles. Not right, but like, I guess I have to go along with you. Oh, Freddy, not triple X-Men. And Mo, yeah, Professor X was like, oh, we can't? Bet. Yeah. And that's the title. There it is. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is at least an option for you, Freddie. If you want to write Spike into the comic somehow, this is at least an option for you. But that was pretty much the episode. That's 6 through 9. I haven't seen any further into any of these episodes now. We will finish with the next 4, so 10, 11, 12, 13, and that will complete season 1 for us, which is exciting. I haven't seen any of the other ones yet. Mo, triple X-Men, starring Morph and Mystique and Feral, because furries. It would be 6-9. Oh man. This is good. This is good. Sabretooth has got to get in there. Yeah. All right, folks. And Harry Rogue. Yeah, Harry Rogue with a deep voice. Can't forget about that. I hate to cut this short, but I do have to get going. I am flying today. I have to go to this family wedding. It's going to be interesting. But yeah. Morph and Mystique are basically there to be everybody else. Freddie, Polly, and Mo, appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much for coming on super early in the morning. Appreciate it. I'll be on Threads probably all weekend. So you can catch me on there. Other than that, I'll be reading, doing lots of editing. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for being here. I plan on Wednesday being kind of the normal again next week. And then we'll go through episodes, the next 4. So 10 through 12, 9, 10 through 12, 10, 11, 13, 10 through 13. But peace out. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Oh, yeah. Don't forget, Freddie has his comic book club live stream tomorrow or on Zoom. Freddie, where are you going to share that at if you're still here? Are you going to share it via Threads, the link? Because if I can, I'm like free tomorrow morning. I'm going to like a family wedding. So like I don't have to do anything. I'm just hanging out. Threads and IG. Okay. Yeah, share that out. I'm hoping I'll be able to join. You said 10? 10 a.m. Perfect. Awesome. Sweet. I will try to be there. But yeah. Everyone have a great weekend. I'll see y'all on Threads. Thank you for being here. As always, appreciate you.